So you've been playing the game for a long time and you're wondering which team is the best. Well, you've come to the right place because not only am I going to give you a full guide on how to build your team based on your playstyle, but I'll also tell you what characters and builds work well together. Fortunately, for the health of the game's sake, there is no one build that is perfect and way better than the others. In all honesty, the game's outcome is going to come down to a combination of your skill level and, whatever it is Boom Boom's doing on a regular basis. So I want to stress, you can build whatever characters you want, but I have a couple of guidelines to share. Before we build our team, let's first analyze what each stat is going to do in order to score more goals. There's a lot of different stats in the game, and I honestly don't think any of them are completely useless. It's just some are a little bit better than others. Let's first start with strength, which is your ability to resist getting knocked down by other characters and your ability to knock down other characters with your tackles. Having high strength is very important on defense. In my opinion, it's the most important stat to cause turnovers. Like I said in my strength video, I don't think that you need to max out your strength on any character. Reason being is if you max out your strength, your other stats are going to be god awful. I think you should max out around 20 because that'll give you a chance to knock over the majority of characters you're going to be facing, while also being a little bit tankier to withstand those weaker characters as well. Next, let's talk about speed. Speed is incredibly important at scoring goals because it is going to set up power plays. Power plays being fast breaks or anytime you cause a turnover where your speedy character is able to get down the field and shoot from right in front of the goal, probably going in. Speed is also very good on offense because when you are carrying the ball, if you are one-on-one with your opponent, you're pretty much guaranteed to get past them because it's very, very difficult for them to fake you out or actually tackle you because you can just run straight past. And one more thing about speed, if there's ever a loose ball, having at least one speedy character will allow you to chase down those balls and get possession of it a lot more often than if you have a team full of slow people. Now for shooting and technique, they both pretty much go hand in hand. Shooting is going to be a little bit better for if you are doing combo passes. So for example, if you have a pass spam team, you don't really need a lot of technique. You would rather have a lot more shooting because the ball is going to go faster past Boom Boom. However, if you would like a general striker who can score from anywhere on the field, then technique is more important because the ball will be able to curve around the goalie from farther out. And finally, let's talk about the most slept on stat, which is passing. Now, I personally still think that passing is the least useful of the stats, but that does not mean it's useless. It is very, very, very good, especially when you combine it with speed. That's why I think that Toad, and having multiple Toads, is actually really, really good, because having high speed allows you to break away down the field, and having high passing allows you to do a combo pass, which is almost guaranteed to score. The first thing you should think about when you are making a team is what is my playstyle. There's several people who have several different types of playstyles. Some people like to pick offensive characters, some people like to play defense, some people like to pass a lot, and some people like to just rip shots from out far. In this video, I'm going to go over 4 different examples of themed teams, so stay tuned for that. But for now, let's just stick to the basics of team building, starting with your captain. Your captain is a character that is going to be the most important on the team because they're going to have the ball for the most amount of time. The captain is also the character who is going to be positioned closer to the enemy goal, so that means they're in the back on defense and they're in the front on offense. In my opinion, there should be 2 different types of captains. One captain that is extremely offensive, and then another captain who is very good at winning the face-off. If you choose to have an offensive captain, then Rosalina is probably the best in the game, just because if you get scored on and you have one item, you can rip the item towards the enemy side and do a charge shot, and it's probably going to go in with her insane shooting ability. But if you would like a more defensive character, then Waluigi will be your best pick, because with Waluigi's speed and strength, you're probably going to be winning the face-offs every time. Keep in mind, your captain doesn't necessarily have to be super defensive or super offensive, just has to be the most offensive or most defensive on your team comp. Once you've chosen your captain, the other 3 pretty much are going to fall based on how you like to play the game. So for that reason, let's go ahead and go into some examples of different playstyles that you can use when setting up your team. The first type of team I'm going to go over is the pass spam team, and as you can guess, it's just a bunch of characters that are very speedy and have very high passing so that they can just pass all along the field and it's very hard to react to. For this team comp, I think that having Peach is a must, so I'm choosing Peach as my captain with 16 strength and 20 speed so that she's able to win some face-offs. Then I go for double Toad, and Toad is also maxed out in speed and passing. The fourth slot can go to anybody, but I'm going to go for DK because DK needs to get a little bit of love sometimes, and I think he fills the role quite well. You can also choose to sub out the Toads for Yoshis with various builds because Yoshi also has a lot of shooting and passing to be able to make those shots from combo shots, but I already had the gear for Toads, so I'm just going to use this guy anyway. You have to have a very specific playstyle for this type of build, and I'm not the best at using it, but I can understand why people like it so much. With so much speed and passing, any turnover turns into an opportunity for a combo shot right in front of the goal. It doesn't seem to matter that I have like no shooting or technique, I don't really need it, I'm just able to take those shots at will. One of the reasons I think this build is so strong is just because it's very difficult to play defense in this game. Since the character switching is just bad sometimes, it'll just give me a free pass even though I'm right in front of the goal and they can't tackle me. And here's a great example of every character on my team being picked for a reason. You see the Star Bowser does rip a shot and it gets blocked, but DK is able to get the ball to Toad, even though he's in the very crowded area in the center of the field, to be able to set up a very quick goal. If you're somebody who likes to do a little bit of everything, then this is an example of a well-balanced team. Now, a well-balanced team isn't necessarily an all-arounder team where every character is average. Instead, each character is going to specialize in a specific place. This team is going to pick Rosalina as the captain so that I can get those cheesy striker goals. Then we're going to have Waluigi for a defensive pick, Toad for a speedy passing pick, and Bowser for a strong forward pick. Looking back, I probably should have switched Bowser and Waluigi, but whatever, it'll work. Honestly, I think playing these well-balanced team comps is way harder than playing other types, just because you have to be really in touch of what each character does on your team. For example, here I'm going to run up the ball as Bowser, and I see it's their Luigi who's being controlled, and I know he can't knock me over, so I'm able to still pass it to Toad, and then get it to Waluigi, who has just enough technique to make those shots from close. I really don't think I need more than one striker on the team, because as long as I feed it to Rosalina, she can score from anywhere on the field. In general, I wouldn't recommend this team comp for beginners because, like I said, you have to be in touch with every single character that you pick, but I think it's really, really fun once you've gotten the hang of a game and you really want to use teamwork. A team comp that would be good for beginners is just simply picking characters that are good at everything. Sometimes I think having super min-max stats is overrated and you should just go with characters that are average. So for this team comp, I just chose characters that had a nice even spread of stats. I still had to have a captain, so I decided to choose Peach as my captain, but Luigi and my Yoshis all just had very average stats. Fairly low strength, but I don't think it's very necessary for what this team is meant to do. I love team comps like this because it doesn't seem like any character is kind of left out or bad at doing a certain job. Everyone is good at something. All of my Yoshis are fairly good at playing defense. My Peach is a great captain because she has high strength. They all have pretty good shooting, so I can pass and shoot just like I normally do. The only thing I think you're really missing out on is some way to get cheesy goals from out if you get a full charge shot, but I think as people are getting better at defense, that's falling a little bit more out of favor. This game I was actually mauling pretty hard because my opponent got like 2 stars and also 2 free hyper strikes to get to 5 goals, and I thought I was going to lose from it, but at least I got 1 hyper strike to save the game. And finally, the last team comp I'm going to show you is what I used when I was running 2v2s, which is very hyper offensive and then also hyper defensive. The only reason we're able to get away with having 3 characters that have no speed, passing, or strength is because one player would be dedicated to playing Waluigi, so the other 3 could just make open lanes and do ripping charge shots and make them most of the time. For this team comp, we use Rosalina as captain with Mario and Luigi also being controlled by the offense character, and then Waluigi would be controlled by the defense character. Pretty much anytime I run this setup with my friends, it's so dominant because all of the shortcomings of my offensive characters can be built up by the fact that I don't have to worry about playing defense ever. And since my characters have so much offense, I can pretty much score from anywhere on the map. I would definitely not recommend a build like this if you are playing one-on-one because your defense is going to be absolutely horrible and your characters are going to be super vulnerable to anybody with a little bit of speed or strength. But I wanted to include this build just because it's an example of how you can change your builds based on how you are playing the game. With that being said, what is your favorite team build to play in Mario Strikers Battle League? Be sure to say so in the comments below, and if you would like to see more videos similar to this one, then subscribe for more uploads. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.